Welcome into a new edition of the KSR Happy Hour presented by Country Boy Brewing. It's the June 16th edition, and I see Miss Tyler is representing Country Boy on our t-shirt and in her hand right now, rocking the brand there. I am not partaking today, just coming back from vacation. I don't need to add any more booze to this system. Did plenty the past week, but Tyler, looks like, what is that, a shotgun wedding you have dialed up today?
This is a Cliff Jumper, their
Oh, Cliff Jumper.
IPA. Yeah, and I tried their Halfway Home, the American Pale Ale. It's probably my new favorite, but since they don't sell it down here in Nashville, I've got to save those. So I'll have a Cliff Jumper.
As always, check out our friends at Country Boy, founded in the heart of Kentucky and brewed by true blue Kentucky fans. Jack, it does not look like you're drinking, but you appear to be somewhere very sunny. I believe you're checking in from Colorado Springs, Colorado, with a nice scenic view there. Where the hell are you precisely?
I'll be honest, this is pretty cool. This is the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Training Center. So it's Olympic stuff everywhere. Like, this is where the U.S. athletes, train and compete and prepare for the Olympics. So the athlete center is to my left, where they're like the dining hall and all that stuff. There's like living quarters and, there's like diving facilities and weightlifting, like all of the Olympic sports. They all kind of live in this little college kind of campus looking place. It's very cool. So in the middle of all this is a basketball gym where I am watching a lot of very important basketball players.
Well, we'll get right to that as our first topic in just a second, but we also have Zach at his humble abode in Lexington joining us on a little 4-pack of the KSR Happy Hour. Glad to have you here, Zach.
Yeah, I don't have any Country Boy. I kind of forgot about that, but I do have a V8 Energy if they want to sponsor us.
Hey.
Yeah, we got room for more sponsors.
This is apparently this is my old man drink. Apparently, this is my afternoon pick me up, as I call her. So, yeah, I got to talk to Collin, Chandler, and Trent today, so they had some good stuff. I need my little fuel to get me through the rest of the day.
Yeah, lots of big news for a Monday. Not quite like last Monday. I understand I was out, but I saw some big news broke on the show. Hopefully, we don't have anything like that. But we do have a surprising amount of topics for a mid-June Monday afternoon in Big Blue Nation. Want to start with where Jack is at the U19 Team USA training camp, where they're trying out to play on the World Cup team heading to Switzerland later this summer. Jack, you've been there for a few days. What's it like so far? And we already had some big news today regarding one of the UK guys. So go ahead and spill all that out.
Yeah, it's almost surreal because you look in one corner of the gym and it's Mark Pope with Nate Oates and Hubert Davis, some of the biggest names in college basketball. You turn and there's AJ DeBansa and Tyron Stokes, two potential number one draft picks in the next 2 cycles. And, all the coaches, all of the, support staff members, all of, Malachi Moreno, Jasper Johnson, the in-state kids. It is a really cool, highly competitive event that just for Pope to make his Team USA coaching debut, for Malachi and Jasper to both be there and kind of prove themselves, at the national level, hoping to prove themselves on the world stage. It's just a really cool kind of a one-of-a-kind opportunity for all of them. And it was just very weird seeing Mark Pope pull, Tyron Stokes aside and have individual conversations with him like, hey, I'm recruiting you to be on my team next year, but here's some pointers for today so, we can kind of build these relationships and start right now. So, yeah, it's a very, very cool, opportunity for Mark Pope that is now over, unfortunately. He's on his way back to Lexington.
Yeah, so Johnson and Marino there were 2 of the college kids there. The rest are a lot of high school recruits in 2026. I think you said there's like 9 of them that Kentucky's looking at. But today it went from 32 to 18 players, and Marino was one they let go. It sounded like that was a bit of surprise because the reports that we've been following along from afar seemed like he was having a pretty good camp.
Yeah, I'll be honest, there were like 4 or 5 people in the gym as the kind of cuts were rolling in. It was funny. Kind of a behind the scenes. We're sitting in the gym writing and doing kind of talking with different people, and you see one by one the players that just got cut go and walk across the gym to go pick up their bags to leave and get sent home. So like you're sitting there going, Malachi just walked in. Why is Malachi walking in? And he walks across and he picks up his suitcase and leaves, and you're like, oh, that sucks. For my money, the second best center here in the event behind only Morez Johnson, who Kentucky saw in the round of 32 matchup against Illinois. He, played well again in that matchup, transferred to Michigan, going to be one of, one of the best front courts in college basketball next season. He's going to be there. By far the best center in the event, but for my money, I think Malachi was second. He was unbelievable all week long. So a lot of people agreed with me, didn't think that he was deserving of a cut. I kind of threw a little mini fit and was wondering why. Asked around, apparently he kind of went down a little minor kind of hip issue, and it was kind of a mutual decision on Malachi's side where he was like, hey, I could kind of push through and, you know, potentially re-aggravate it or, you know, further damage it, and it kind of just got to the point where it was like, hey, this really sucks. I would be part of the 18 cut. I could potentially go to Switzerland and represent, you know, Kentucky on the world stage. But unfortunately, the timing sucked with, you know, the cuts happening and the injury happening this morning. So it was an injury-related cut. It was not a production or anything that he did on the floor to suggest that he wasn't good enough to make the top 18. So I was going to throw a bigger fit, but unfortunately, I'll have to calm down because everything's okay.
Well, with any kind of an issue, get on home, rest up here. We got summer workouts going on. But is it as dramatic as you made it sound? I picture like Survivor where they're getting their torch and they've just been voted from tribal council. I mean, they just kind of walk out like, it sounds almost like Hard Knocks when their key card doesn't work at the door.
That's literally what it was. I mean, it was one by one, like, oh man, he's gone. He's leaving. He's grabbing his bags and heading to the airport. It really is just kind of a surreal experience to see all of it unfold. And so Jasper, very fortunately, he played really well earlier today. Kind of was up and down on day one, but definitely solidified a spot today, and he moved forward. The initial buzz was that both Malachi and Jasper were hoping to make the top 18, and then once we got to the final cut that they would probably like withdraw, pull themselves out from consideration so they could return to Lexington and, you know, join their teammates. The first day of practice starts today, so they didn't want to miss too much of that. So it was kind of more of a competitive thing for them for this week, but not necessarily, you know, going to Switzerland and prolonging it any longer. So with Malachi out, though, I think there's kind of a new dynamic where Jasper's kind of talking, trying to weigh like, hey, if I get to this top 12, you know, maybe I do go get another gold medal. He did it last year for the, you know, FIBAs and earned a gold medal. And he's like, well, shoot, you know, why not if I get the opportunity? So not a done deal yet, but something he's definitely seriously considering now that Malachi is gone.
The rest of us are watching from afar. We only had enough in the budget to send you, but Zach, we've seen some of the highlights. I guess so far there's been the Jasper Johnson alley-oop to Malachi Marino on day one in front of Pope. Johnson's hit a couple big threes, back-to-back threes that I think Jack shared. Have you enjoyed what we've seen of the guys as best we can from a distance?
Yeah, I was getting like emotionally attached to it because when Jack told me that Malachi wasn't, like, he got cut, I got sad as well. I was like, oh man, it felt like he really was deserving of that, and you could tell he really wanted to keep his spot and keep going on there. So that's definitely a bummer to hear, but especially the Johnson or Jasper to Malachi dunk with Pope in the background. That's just like, you know, Pope in the back of his head was like, I can see that. Give me another year. I can see that happening a lot with the pick and roll action. So it has been fun to watch. And Jack himself got it was awesome 11-minute interview with Pope earlier today as well. The solo interview as well. So that was really cool. He said some great stuff in there as well. Talked about the house setup and all that. I'm sure Jack can talk about it more, but it's just really a cool experience for all those guys to get to go out and do that, especially for Pope. Like, he can talk about, like, he can downplay the recruiting side of it, but come on. Like, when he's over there, talking up Tyron Stokes or something, in the back of his head, he's like, so if you were at Kentucky, you know, this is how we would do it, something like that. But you could tell that Pope probably wants to get back as well. And like Jack said, he's on his way back right now. Like, practice started this morning. I'm sure he didn't want to be there too much longer. He's got a brand new group of guys to try and acclimate, and you know, only 4 returning guys, which they all said today. They said, hey, we're the translators now. We're the Jackson Robinsons of this year. So he's got a little bit more translating help, but yeah, I'm sure he wants to be back and actually get going with his guys. And I'm sure the same is with Malachi and whenever Jasper ends up getting back.
Jack, before you share what you got one-on-one with Pope, how involved is he? I know Tyler pointed out, I don't know if we have it, we can pull up. He looks enormous sticking out with everyone. Their team photo was hilarious.
He was blocking,
but they just
some
call
kid
him. They're on-court coaches. There's other guys there. There's a head coach. Like, how much is he actually active when they're on the court, or is it more he's using it as a recruiting opportunity? I mean, what does it just look like with him there?
It was mind-blowing. He was so attentive and so hands-on with everybody. And it was funny, like, you know, talk to Jonathan Gavoni and some of the other, you know, kind of national guys that do this. They all, like, looked at Mark Pope and was like, this guy, he's pulling Christian Collins to the side, Tyron Stokes, Tay Kinney, all these guys that are major Kentucky targets, like pulling them aside and having individual one-on-one conversations of, hey, do this instead of this. Hey, make sure your shot mechanics are like going above and beyond to prioritize not just everybody. And like, he was being fair to some of the other guys who clearly either, are signed elsewhere or, Kentucky hasn't necessarily offered, but you could tell he definitely used this as a recruiting tool. As Zack said in my interview, he said that like, oh, it's not necessarily about that. He was rebounding for Tay Kinney while the game was going on. Tay Kinney was over on the court by himself, getting shots up, and Mark Pope was rebounding for him on the other floor, just one-on-one, those two back and forth. And
that's ridiculous.
There you go. There he is, Tyler.
I love this picture.
Who's he blocking there?
I know, he's legit blocking somebody in the back. I think that's hilarious.
That looks ridiculous.
I mean, where would you put him though? Like at the edge? Because I guess
very
all
back,
the
you
have to make him kneel down.
With Jacobson, that 7'4" guy, 57, right smack dab in the middle next to Malachi. You put him right next to next Chris Senack. Yeah, it's just insane. I asked him in that interview if wearing red, if it made a skin burn, how he'd interact with that. He forces the one kid at camp last week to take off the red socks and has to it was like, oh, but now that you have USA across your shirt, now the red is perfectly acceptable. But I will say, right before Pope left for his flight, he went one by one to every single recruit in the gym. AJ DeBan, like guys that are signed elsewhere, but also obviously the guys that he's recruiting and has offers out to, and had individual one-on-one conversations with every single one of them before he left the gym of, hey, it's been a pleasure working with you. Thank you for letting me kind of, show you the ropes and, be a part of your basketball journey, whatever that looks like, whether it's going to be a part of it in college or if you're going to be a future rival. Like he and Michael Brown had a couple back and forth interactions of, kind of like, hey, I'm going to be, I'm coaching you today, but this season I'm going to be rooting for your downfall. Like a lot of cool kind of interactions with that. But he really did kind of soak in this moment and embrace it, where it was kind of tough for him to get out of the gym. Like the coaches were kicked out of the gym and he was one of the last people to leave because he wanted to make sure he, told every kid how much he appreciated them and letting him coach him up for a little bit. So yeah, he's really enjoyed this opportunity.
Don't leave our video now, but Jack got like 11 minutes with him. Check that out on YouTube. You stay with us. There's a lot you can consume today. But Jack had a good one-on-one with him. I'm sure it's made the trip worthwhile so far.
Yeah, that one was very cool. And, talk about the house settlement. We hadn't heard about, Otega Owe coming back. What are his thoughts on that? So some cool little updates there. I asked these next 8 weeks with the summer workouts, what are you trying to get out of them? What's going to be kind of the end goal with like, hey, we're leaving July going into August. What did we learn about our team? And conditioning was the number one thing. So that, he learned a lot about conditioning with last year's group, understanding the pace and how much energy it's going to take, and that was kind of a shortcoming of this last year's roster, making sure they don't make some of those same mistakes again, and hitting the conditioning even harder this summer is priority number one.
Tyler, I think I cut you off. Were you adding something there about Pope?
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting. We were talking before the show about how Pope is an on-court coach, but now he's leaving to go back to Lexington. So maybe explain the differences in the assistant coaches, like why he is only there for 3 or 4 days, whereas some of them are there throughout the rest of the camp.
Yeah, I think it was a fairness kind of deal where, Tommy Lloyd is the head coach at Arizona. He gets to lead this program. And, other coaches probably look at the situation and go, well, why does the head coach at Arizona get a chance to work hands-on with the best of the best, top to bottom of, every top priority in the class? Why does he get to coach those guys, but we don't get to participate? We don't get to be a part of it. And, Texas Tech's coach is an assistant as well. And Micah Shrewsbury at Notre Dame, he is as well. So those were the main three. So I think there was that next tier with Hubert Davis, Nate Oates, Mark Pope as the on-court coaches. And then to, again, make it fair, while Mark Pope was in the gym, any other coach was allowed to be in the gym with John Shire showing up. Staffs from everywhere across the country, they were all participating in getting their evaluation time. So even though they didn't get the hands-on work that Pope and some of the other coaches got on the staff, technically they still got to evaluate and consider it kind of a live period, if you will. But definitely a massive advantage for Pope, and obviously Tommy Lloyd coaching him through Switzerland and all that. It's a greater advantage, but it's still just kind of an irreplaceable opportunity for Mark Pope to get his debut here.
While Jack was spying on the future of Kentucky basketball with Moreno and Johnson, Zach, you went to interviews today with two of guys that Pope predicts have breakout sophomore years, Trent Noah and Collin Chandler. Looked like about 15 minutes with each of them. We'll break it down player by player. Start with Trent Noah. I saw most of it right before we started here with the replay on YouTube. Again, check that out when you're done with us here. But what all did we learn from Trent there? Has he added that 18 pounds yet?
He was asked about the weight and everything. He says he hasn't done any like tests or anything, or he hasn't done a bench press yet, so he's not sure how much actual muscle he's added. But it is kind of noticeable. He definitely looked like he's shaped up a little bit from last season. So that was probably one of the first talking points as well. As I mentioned earlier, he was really big on the there's the translators. You've got 4 of them now, and all 4 of those guys were in Kentucky last year, whereas last season you just had one translator. And translator, I mean like someone that actually knows Pope's system and things like that, and can tell the new players what's going on. Only Jackson Robinson was that guy last year, and he didn't even play at Kentucky the year before. So Trent said it's like we have 4 Jackses on the team this year. So I thought that was kind of a cool little note, because they've only been together, I think, 2, maybe 3 weeks now altogether. Well, minus Yelovich, who's still in the process of getting over here. But it definitely seems like the team chemistry is everyone's kind of getting to know each other pretty quickly. Trent did talk about his defense as like kind of a big thing that he is trying to work on this offseason. He said Pope wants him to be a steals guy. He wants him to be a guy that maybe takes a little bit more chances and plays the passing lanes a little bit more. And part of that is probably getting a little bit faster as well. And like his processing is like his IQ being able to up that a little bit as well is all kind of baked into being a steals guy. So I thought that was an interesting note as well, because he talked about that a little bit at length. So he definitely wants to improve in that area. And then a lot of just kind of the blanket stuff, like, I'm just so excited to be here. Like, he was big on, I've been here over 365 days, but it still feels surreal every morning I wake up and put on a Kentucky jersey and everything like that. So he said the first day of practices this morning, they said they went great. So I don't know the exact regulations on what summer practices are, like how often they can practice and stuff like that. Jack probably knows, but so yeah, they were all getting acclimated right away, and everyone loves to ask these guys. We saw with Ortega and Brandon last week. Everyone loves to ask about Mo Diabate, just because he beat Kentucky's ass 3 times last year. So they're like, so what's the deal with him? And every single guy says the same thing. They're like, we're just so happy that he's on our team now, because he was just not fun to play last year. And they're all like, we knew he was strong, but he's even bigger and stronger than we kind of thought. Collin Chandler kind of said the exact same thing. And it's similar stuff with Denzel Aberdeen as well. So everyone's really kind of excited about him. And they both made it a point to talk about how Denzel is both a really good playmaker and a shooter. So I don't know if they talked about that beforehand or not, or if that's just what they've actually seen with their own eyes. So those were some cool notes from them. Did you get to watch Chandler at all? Any of Collin's?
Well, I was going to ask, from mostly what I saw of the Chandler part of the Q&A, it was just questions about him being married. So
Yes. Lots of questions about his new wife, Hannah, who I actually didn't know her name was until today when I heard it a bunch. So a lot of good questions a lot of questions just in general, probably like 6 or 7 about his wife. But he was a good sport about it. He answered them all great. He said, they just moved into a new house, so he's trying to figure out if he said he got like a wedding basket of drills and like power tools and things like that. So he's going to become Mr. DIY this year. But Collin's big thing, from what I remember, was him just talking about how much more comfortable he feels. And it's just it's so much different this season compared to last season, where he was coming off the 2. I guess he was only here maybe like just a couple weeks, maybe a month or something after the, kind of the transition period from when that ended to get in Kentucky or whatever it was. I don't know. It might have been longer than that, but the point is he's had the whole offseason now, and he says he knows what to do now. It's like the game kind of slowed down for him a little bit. And his big thing was like where Trent, Pope wants him to be more of a steals guy. Pope wants Collin Chandler to do I think this is going to be our buzzword this season, is playing off 2 feet. We've heard it a lot last season, and it was a big thing with Ortega. And Collin said that as well for himself. He was like, there is actually one little side. I'm just rambling here, Drew. I'm sorry, but one little side thing that Collin was talking about. He was mentioning how, sometimes it feels like a big thing about playing off 2 feet is just it can limit your mistakes. So, for instance, last year, like throughout the whole season, Lamont Butler would do this thing where he'd drive himself in the middle of the paint and just kind of like stop on 2 feet and have nowhere to go. And Collin was like, that's actually not a terrible thing, because the other option is a one-footed layup off where you're trying to pin it off the top of the glass and have it float in, or like you're probably going to turn the ball over and make a bad shot. Whereas if that happens, if you get there and you get stuck, you're still on your 2 feet. You can just make an easy pass out to the top of the key, reset the offense, things like that. So I did think that was an interesting note, where that's something that they're really trying to improve upon, is just that playing off 2 feet and getting better at. It's just one of those things that you just have to do over and over again to get better at. But yeah, it was a great day with Collin Chandler. I learned a lot about his wife. So if you want to know more about Mrs. Hannah Chandler, I guess is her name now, hop on over to the KSR YouTube. A lot of good stuff over there today.
Last month, Pope predicted both those guys would break out, Trent and Collin Chandler, part of our favorite interview in the history of KSR, because we got a week's worth of content out of it during the otherwise slow time. And I think all of us here on the panel expect big breakouts of those two guys. So I brought an over-under game. We'll just go in a circle.
Oh. Kind
of give some numbers, and you tell me what you think over-under for each one. So we'll start with Trent, Noah. Tyler, I'm going to start with you, then go Jack, Zach, since Zach just got long-winded there. Put you up, Tyler, on the hot seat. 10 minutes per game for Trent, Noah next year, over or under?
Ooh, I'm going to go under, and that's not an insult to Trent Noah at all. I just think there's a lot of people ahead of him, whereas I think Collin might have a better chance of seeing the floor. So if the total is the same for Trent and Collin, I would go over 10 minutes for Collin, under for Trent Noah.
I have different totals for each guy, so this is just Trent, 10 minutes. Jackie averaged 11 last year. You going over or under on 10?
We are going under on 10.5. We're going 10 on the dot.
Ooh, cheater.
I'll say I'm going to split it up. I'm going to break your own rule. Non-conference, over. Conference, under.
Okay.
That's how I'll do it.
I'm going to go under. Did that make us complete? I guess your answer was a little funky there, but that gives us a little bit of a split. I think he's going to be much better, but as Jack noted, it's just way too crowded that I think it'll hurt him. But junior year will be his big breakout year. Now, Tyler will go to Collin Chandler. I said his at 13.5. It was 11 this year, but there was a lot of injuries. 13.5 next year.
I'll go over. I see a big sophomore year for Collin. I'm really excited to see him kind of break out. I think he was really kind of starting to find his groove at the end of the season. And like Zack talked about, this time last year, he was just trying to like get back into playing shape and not throw up after running suicide. So I'm going to go over.
Jack, you're up next.
Sorry.
13.5 minutes for Collin.
You're nailing these numbers, because I feel like you're right. It's right in that ballpark. I'm going to go slightly over and say we're going 14 minutes a game with Collin.
I'm pulling the Jack, and I'm saying 13. I'm going right under it. I'm going right under. But I think he plays probably 10 minutes every game throughout the whole season, at least 10 minutes. So I'll go just slightly under there.
I'm going slightly over, a half a minute over, even though I set the line, so it should be close to my opinion. I'm going half a minute over. Moving on to our next one, which is combined, Tyler. Both players, two different answers, though. 35% from three.
Man.
Chandler was 34.5 last year, and Noah was 33.5. So they were both just a notch under it last year, but 35% for both of them this upcoming season.
I will go under for Chandler and over for Noah. And a fun fact when we're talking about numbers, did you know that last year they both averaged exactly 2.7 points per game? Like the exact same number. And I want to say Travis Perry was right around there too, but I found that out. I was looking something up today. So
my favorite fact last year was Chandler had more points in March than he did November through February combined. clear proof that he kicked it into gear for the tournament there.
I'm going. I think they're both clearing 35%. I think both of them are going to be among Kentucky's best shooters next season. I love the confidence that Collin was had in March. He was throwing 40 8-foot rainbow bombs
balls.
in March Madness. So he's going to pick up where he left off there, and I trust Trent to make shots. So I'm going over for both.
Yeah, I think I might have to go with Tyler here. I definitely think Noah can clear that. Chandler, I don't know. I feel like 35 is like the perfect number for him. So Drew, you need to start setting the odds or something for whatever betting service sponsors us nowadays. But I'll say honestly, I could see Noah getting close to 40%. So I think, but when he's playing 10 minutes a game or whatever, it's kind of just a gravy when he comes in if he's hitting 40%. But I'll say right at 35%. So maybe just a touch under on Collin Chandler.
I'm going over on both, and right before Murray gets no hit in this game, which we're going to get to in a minute. It's not looking good for the Racers. A strike away. Final one is 13.5 combined points for Noah and Chandler per game.
I'll go over because last year they combined for 5.4, if my math is right, points per game. So I see a big leap forward for both, but I think the bulk of that is going to be Chandler. So,
what's the number? What did you say?
13.5 points per game combined.
Ooh, yeah, I'm going over. I feel pretty good about that one as well. Yeah, they're both clearing that pretty easily, I think.
Under, easy, hammer it.
Oh,
what a heel! Why do you not believe in Collin Chandler and Trent Noah?
Oh, I believe in them. I just don't think they'll play enough to play 13.5 or score 13.5 minutes or points per game.
do you hate Harlan County? Is that why you're just so under on all
And
this?
all
Breaking
BYU
news.
or Utah as well. Yeah, just let's throw them all in there.
I'm also going under there to wrap up the exercise. Steven, look away if you're watching Murray, Arkansas. Not good for you right now. But that was it. That's our Noah Chandler segment. Check out the interview with them. It's like 30 minutes worth of conversation. Also on YouTube. Fun conversations there. We're going to talk a little NBA Finals, then get Zack out of here. He's got a busy Monday. Tonight, Game 5. Going to break up this tie in the series. Thunder, a 9.5 point favorite. Anybody got any strong thoughts about tonight's game? Anybody passionate? Anyone picking the Pacers? We'll start there.
I don't know.
They're 7-3 on the road in the playoffs.
This series is impossible to predict. I'm rooting for the Thunder, so I tried to jinx the Pacers last game, and it actually worked. I was talking to Jack in the middle of the third quarter. I was like, the Pacers are just better. They're just a better team than the Thunder. And then all of a sudden, the
Pacers are going to win in 5. This is
they're going to win in 5. I feel like it's like I'm watching a Kentucky game at this point, watching the Thunder. But I don't know. I think the Thunder, they probably should have lost that last game, but they probably should have won game 1 as well. So I think these two teams are about as even as they could possibly be through 4 games. So I don't really know what to expect. The fact that it's 9.5 points, I think, is a lot for the Thunder, but Shea's just been too good. They just struggle to figure him out. He had 15 points in 5 minutes to close out that last game. Casey Walsh is kind of struggling though, unfortunately. But I don't know. You know what? I'll pick the Pacers tonight. I will.
Okay, there we go. We need somebody to do it. They got to win a road game to win the trophy. Maybe it's tonight.
Yeah, I'll just give slightly the Pacers edge there. It'll be some weird Obi Toppin game or whatever. They always have one of their 6 men come up and have a 30-point game. So it'll be him tonight.
Not happening. Thunder and 6. It's just.
Please, I'm trying to jinx the Pacers here.
Pacers, their luck and magic has been beautiful. I've enjoyed the Tyrese Halliburton, especially at good old Zach's expense, unfortunately. But Thunder are way too good. They are. They're gonna figure it out, and unfortunately, the Pacers are gonna be going home in 2 games.
We get to watch the starting lineups tonight. That's a big thing. First time in 12 years that they're going to show the starting lineups for the NBA Finals.
So why is it that the NBA just gets bullied into oblivion for all of these things, the stupid virtual trophies, all the showing the pregame intros? Why does it take Twitter bullying the NBA?
Because they realize their product stinks, and unless there are face of the league players in the finals, they realize that people will call it out. So I'm glad that the NBA is finally learning that. And yes, that is I think that's the takeaway here is cyberbullying definitely works. And it did in this case because we're getting, everything that we're asking for, they're doing it slowly but surely. So I think by game 7, they'll finally have everything that we actually want. They'll put the right graphics on the floor and everything, and maybe put some stickers down there instead of these holograms or whatever they're doing.
But Zach, what is the NBA's thinking? Why do they think that making it look like a Wednesday game in November is the move.
I don't know.
It doesn't feel like the finals. It is not. My team won the championship last year, and I was sitting there teary-eyed with the whatever corny thing Jason Tatum said. It was like, it does kind of feel like we're just won a Wednesday game in December. Like, it didn't have the pageantry of a normal finals. And I don't know why.
Steven and I have been getting into very passionate debates with our Pacers fan friend Brandon Ramsey about all this, because Brandon couldn't care less about all the little pomp and circumstance and stuff, but Steven and I are like, just why not do it? You know, like, there's no reason not to do all these little small things that make the product look better, because yes, it stinks right now. It sucks. And it's not helping the fact that, you know, you've got two of these smaller markets in, even though these teams are awesome. But
we can
doesn't know how to market their game.
But we can have, with the in-season tournament, we can have whole brand new floors with just this, like,
I'm on your side. I'm on your side.
It's so dumb.
I understand.
How can we create this new stupid in-season tournament, and then when the actual finals roll around, they're like, normal floor will do.
Because they just think that people love basketball, but people actually hate basketball. They just love to complain about basketball. That's
I think they just
on the NBA Finals.
Oh, I think they need you all to fix it. They need to hire you two just to fix the NBA.
I think someone posted on Twitter. They said if Twitter was the board of governors for the NBA, the finals would be beautiful. They would have been perfect from the start. So I think we do need to, just a little bit more cyberbullying, calling out Adam Silver and making him feel small is working.
And we need
no better sport.
We need less of Stephen A. Smith playing solitaire on press row.
That's the whole. I don't want to get into that.
I was trying to think. I was belong in this conversation.
I was trying to think. I was like, when I'm covering Kentucky games, like, the most distracted I'll ever get is when I go to get my Chick-fil-A sandwich during a timeout. That's the most distracted. I've never even thought of, like, let me pull up Candy Crush at halftime. That has just never once crossed my mind during a Kentucky game.
Which media member would be the most likely to do that?
Oh, I don't know if I can answer that.
We'll see if they're watching. Yeah, let's break the internet.
Not us. I'll tell you that. We're locked in there. That
most likely to get kicked out of a game for celebrating on press row, because I do, and I have, but
that's different.
It's because I'm a diehard fan enjoying the product that I'm watching. Why in the world would you even sit there? Why would you even be there if you were going to?
The game was happening. Was the amazing thing.
Well, and doesn't he know that somebody's going to have a camera on him? He's Stephen A. Smith. Like, if you're sitting near Stephen A. Smith, you're going to, like, take a picture of him, especially if he's playing solitaire on his phone. Like,
during the game. The game was happening. Yeah. I cannot believe it. He gets paid $30 million a year to do that.
Right.
Does it matter that it's basketball? Because I've been caught on my computer at football games, even looking for soup recipes for Halloween party. But I feel like if football... And I'm in press row with a computer. I'm not just on my phone looking up soup recipes. I got multiple browsers, games in front of me. But I have to admit, I've been caught looking at some non-sports things during football games. But I feel like that's
maybe
a different animal.
Sports books,
that's different. Yeah, basketball, you're going. Yeah, no,
Tyler, did you give a pick for the game? Another fun fact: both teams were 14-6 in the playoffs. Just in case you need to know that.
I mean, I guess I'm cheering for the Thunder because of Shea and Kaysen. I will admit I have not watched much of the NBA Finals this year.
It's been so fun. It's been great.
But you know what's also great? Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, and I'm behind. So I'm catching up on
Fair
that.
Enough.
I've kind of convinced myself that I'm just learning about the Mormon religion and their culture, and it's kind of like research, right? You know, I gotta learn about this stuff. Not that Collin, Chandler, or Mark Pope or anybody, not that they're like those Mormons, because these Mormons are crazy. But if anybody wants to join in and make Secret Lives of Mormon Wives a topic one week, I'm so in. Have
you seen the Mormon mom, the influencer, Ruby Frankie or something? It's like a documentary about her.
No, she's not in Mom Talk, so I don't know.
She was Mom Talk famous, and then she gets in a little bit of trouble. Check that out when you're doing your Mormon research. She was one of the bad apples.
Gotcha.
Zach, we'll let you go. What happened? I thought Murray got hit by a pitch. Where's Steven? Can you chime in? Did something happen in this game? Is anyone else watching?
Yeah, it's the bottom of the ninth. 1 out.
Well, I thought that they gave up the perfect game on a hit by pitch, and now no one's on base anymore. I didn't know what happened.
That was in the.
I haven't been watching.
That was closely. In the 8th inning. In the 9th, Murray State had another batter hit, but then they.
But in the 9th, there was a guy on base. I'm not crazy, right?
Might have been Arkansas batting.
Well, all right. That's us breaking down the Murray, Arkansas game. No, Zach, we'll let you go. We'll talk a little baseball. Get Steven in here. Thanks for joining us and covering Collin, Chandler, and Trent Noah today.
Yes, absolutely. Have fun, y'all.
Oh, and tomorrow you get to go see Mark Pope and
I'm
Kenny
going
Brooks.
to the Beaumont Kroger. Yeah.
Woo!
Kenny and Mark will be there, so that should be fun as I awkwardly stand around for an hour and a half in the sun and take pictures of the back of their heads while they're talking to fans. It'll be awesome.
Put your cart back in the corral.
Hummus.
Oh, the hummus. I don't even remember how Stoops said it, but
He just says it like you say it. It's hummus.
he had a little twang.
Oh,
to it.
he stumbles over the word and it makes it sound like like when you capitalize certain letters in a word to add emphasis
the
to it. It's like
M was capitalized.
It's like hummus.
He kind of said it like there's a question mark at the end, and there's not one.
Yeah, I think he just said it wrong. Give him a second chance. Run it back.
Yeah, I think that came out like Nick made a big post about it while I was in Ireland or something or out of town. And I remember catching up on KSR when I got back, and I watched the video 3 times because I was like, does he really say it that weird? Because that's kind of how I say it. But then there is one point in the video where he says it's strange, like hummus or something. I don't say it like that, but yeah, that was a big day.
Speaking of Mark Stoops and being strange, I saw Mark Stoops in public the day after the Vince Merrill thing. Didn't want to.
You saw him. Where was it? I guess
at the beach in
Mexico.
No, I came back for a bourbon tasting, at which he was a part of, and I awkwardly had to walk by him. And I had to give a little nod, and he did not nod back. I feel like it was not the best timing to run into Mark Stoops out in public. Not even 24 hours after the news broke.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a fun little
interaction. He's so motivated he can't nod at you.
Yeah. All right, well, Zach, we'll let you go because Steven's got to get on here and talk about how his team just got no hit.
Yeah, just ended. That's a bummer. They got no hit? Oh, my God.
It's over.
That's a bummer.
So I'm not crazy. A guy did get hit by a pitch in the ninth, but then they reviewed it and took it away.
Yes.
Bummer.
18 strikeouts. 18
strikeouts. That's got to be a record.
It's got to be close. 20 is the MLB record. So.
Oh, but the guy with 20 strikeouts, he needed 15 innings, I think, right? I don't know. I feel like I saw that on Twitter. Anyway, Murray State is going home.
Pop in. Yeah.
All
right, I'll head out here. Later, y'all.
Bye.
Pop in, Steven.
Jack, you've been out in Colorado. You probably don't care. I've been following the College World Series. You've been very busy, but I have been watching Murray and Arkansas today. Loser goes home match. Murray, or Maury, as the ESPN announcer calls him, just lost 3-0, no hit. As Steven noted, 19 strikeouts for Gage Wood. Tyler, you were watching a lot of it. That dude was unbelievable.
Well, I was going to ask Steven, does it make it better that his team was on the losing end of a historic performance, or does it make it worse?
No, it does not make it better. I wanted Hogarth to get a hit there really bad. But hey, we got there. That's incredible.
Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened, right? No.
he's already pulled the plug.
He's like, no. He's firing off a conspiracy theory about Murray State baseball.
Our racers went 0-2 in Omaha, but I don't know if he can chime in, but you got to be happy if you're Murray, even if you did just have 19 strikeouts in a game that sent you home. Just even see Murray on my TV right now at the College World Series again when the announcer couldn't even pronounce their name. Very, very cool for the in-state school.
Yeah, I mean, just getting there is amazing. I mean, it was so cool. Even just the lead up to that first game was so awesome. All the Murray State, just seeing the logo on ESPN, and it's not basketball related. It's so strange. So yeah, it was really fun. I wish they had gotten a win. I wish they were in the other bracket. I think I like their chances versus Louisville.
That my Madisonville guy probably made him a little money in this tournament run. Were there any reports of Murray in the Jello shot contest? I didn't see that. They were probably up against it with some of those schools there, Arkansas included.
They were doing well. I
think they were in second
because
Steven's cutting out, but if they're anywhere near second, that's a noble effort. Got
LSU was way ahead. They had
always
13,000, but I think Murray State was either second or third. So clearly the people in Omaha are just jumping on the Murray State bandwagon. The lovable underdog, etc.
That or maybe all of Callaway County just got in there and made it happen.
Yeah.
Do we have Steven enough to pull up our Q&A questions, or I need to go to the board? I can go to the board if we need to do that. Also, we haven't really looked at our Twitter live chat here. Newsy day. Anybody been following these comments? Lots of people talking about the Arkansas game as it went final there, kind of taunting Steven. I know one of our... There we go.
There you go. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, you all were a part of it. I saw the replay, but how nuts was that when the Vince news dropped on this very program last Monday? I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Jack saw it because you and Nick were talking, and Jack's face goes.
It was great. Like your eyes, you can see my eyes, just like going through Twitter, making, just refreshing, doing all that. You see it, and you can kind of see like wait, what? And you can see me reading, get to the bottom of the tweet, and then go back up to the top to make sure it wasn't a parody account or whatever. Read the tweet again, and it was like, oh crap, this happened. I can't believe that this actually happened. This is real life. So yeah, that was very cool to experience in real life. Unfortunately, because it's another sign that the football program's in the dumpster, but that's okay.
Oh, it was hilarious because that kicked off like 10 minutes of insanity, like pure chaos. So we had, the news come out, and then, Nick's like, man, because he had an idea that this was coming. He just didn't know it would be that afternoon at that exact moment. And so he was trying to confirm it on his end and all this. And then my dog went absolutely insane because somebody was at our front door. I don't know if you all noticed, Nick's child walked into the room in like the background and was like trying to get his attention the whole time. And oh, it was great. It was not great because it was a really crazy piece of news, but I thought our reaction was pretty honest. So
I enjoyed the replay. I had my Monday off. That's why I couldn't join you all. I took a long vacation, and I do a great job on vacation not looking at my phone. I mean, I can go hours, maybe even days without looking at it. But at one point, we had just gotten back from Mexico, and I was laying on the couch. I just taken like a 2-hour nap, I think watching Murray baseball or something like that. And my wife said, "Do you want your phone?" And I said, "No." She's like, "You sure you don't want your phone?" I was like, "No." And she said, "You should check Twitter," and threw it at me. And I could not believe the news. I was about 4 hours behind, but I had a zillion text messages. Obviously, get lost scrolling Twitter to the reaction. I think we were all blindsided by it. Not quite as much as you all live on the happy hour, but blindsiding news last Monday. So far, we're only going to go about 10 more minutes. Nothing here yet. I don't know if Jack's nice scoop he wants to give, but so far
we had a no hitter. I mean, during this, that's kind of that's news.
Newsy.
And Jasper's currently walking across the courtyrard to go to practice right now. In case
go get some news. Go get some news. Hey, Jasper.
Hi, Jasper.
Good to see you.
There you go.
Shout out Harrodsburg. Shout out Woodford County.
Be safe heading back to Lexington or to Switzerland, wherever you go. What's next up on our KSBoard Q&A, Steven? Finnegan Ham, one of our favorites, asks, if you could retire tomorrow and be financially secure, where would you settle? Jack, you going to Colorado Springs when you retire? You liking it that much out there? Where are you headed with sufficient funds in your bank account? We say you're not mega rich, but enough to live comfortably on. Where are you headed? Or staying put?
This is a pretty easy one, actually. I am going to Yellowstone. It's my favorite place in the world. It might have just been the right time, right place. During COVID, that October, Katie and I just got married, and we were like, what else do you do? So we went out to Yellowstone. It was my favorite vacation of all time. We got to see all the animals, and we just basically had the whole national park to ourselves. So that in my head is just like, hey, if I could live there and just do that every day of my life without worrying about money or anything, I'm going to do it. So there is a non-zero chance that I that one day settle in Yellowstone and you guys never hear from me again.
That's pretty good answer.
We're still doing the happy hour even when we retire. You can just do it from Yellowstone.
Yeah. Oh, I thought he was going to have somebody on the show.
Oh, there's apparently there's like an Air Force base or something very close by, and like there's just random helicopters that come over the top here. It's a very weird place, very interesting. I mean, it's beautiful. Love this city and area, but it's got some weird vibes to it.
Well, as much as I love the USA, my answer to this question, Finnegan Ham's question, would be Italy. I think about this too much. I would move to either Florence or a little town in Tuscany and just live out my life in a villa. And I've thought about it so much that when I get bored, I scroll through real estate listings. So, I'm only 40. I'm pretty far away from this retirement thing, but I think about it way too often.
I'm going to follow Jack's lead and go out west a little bit. Maybe some Utah. Gets a little snowy. I don't know if I'll jump all the way into the Mormon culture, but when we did our cross-country drive, and I'd been to Utah a few years before in Moab, I was a big fan of that area. I never thought I'd be like a mountain disappear in the middle of nowhere guy, but maybe just get a certain age where you're like, throw me out in the woods, leave me alone. Again, I don't need my phone. Maybe that's me. I'll still do the happy hour with Jack in Yellowstone and you in Italy and me in Utah. But I kind of, as I age, I guess I want to be more off the grid. I used to be all about throw me in a city or wherever one is. Now I want to live in the woods and be left alone.
I'm just impressed that you're able to stay off your phone on vacation. Like that's good. I need to do that.
It helped in Mexico because I don't think I got out of the pool at 12 hours at a time. It has swim up bars, so it's literally impossible unless I want to swim over to the chair and get my phone. It was pretty easy there. We went to New York after Mexico. I admit there were some days where we're resting and I'm laying scrolling, but in Mexico it was pretty easy to not look at it, especially Twitter. I'll get on Instagram, read some text messages, even KSBoard, but it's pretty easy for me to put the Twitter down. It gets a little crazy here lately. So Utah, Yellowstone, and Italy. I thought you were headed to Tyler or 38, Tyler.
Well, that too. I mean, if I'm financially secure, that means I'm going to have like 3 or 4 houses around the world that I can just, flip from one to the other. No, I mean, Grayton Beach, 30A sounds amazing. I would want to avoid it whenever like half of Nashville goes down there, which feels like the months of March and pretty much all summer. So give me the non-Nashville months in 30A and I'm there too. Yeah, I love that place. But like you were talking about with Twitter, I don't know about you all with your phone habits, but I feel like Twitter is the one app I'm checking less and less these days. Like when I wake up, I'll check my email and then for some reason I'll go to like Instagram, but Twitter used to be number 1 on there. And now it's kind of like 4th or 5th on that list.
I'm a big Reddit guy. I feel like
Me too.
Reddit. I feel like has moved to the top of the food chain of my like daily phone consumption. And KSBoard obviously that's number 1 and will always be number 1. But yeah, Reddit is a very sneaky second.
I like going to Reddit later. When I don't have anything to do, I'll just type in something random and just see where Reddit takes me. Like aliens. Do that one occasionally. I want the craziest of Reddit. That I like Lexington Reddit. I like my keeping up with my local Reddit, but I also love going down a Reddit wormhole where I don't even know how I got in some places.
Yeah, I've gotten really into Reddit recently. Like I'm a late adopter. I fully admit that. But I even got into, so they have like the Kentucky Reddit, the basketball one. It's like Wildcats or something. And someone had linked a KSR article that I wrote about Travis Perry, and they pointed out a typo I made. And so I like had to be like, oh, facts are optional, it's a Wednesday, whatever. But my problem is I don't know how to change my screen name. So I'm just like, whatever anonymous one they gave me, I think I'm like Intelligent Pie, 315 or something. So I tried to change it to like Mrs. Tyler or something. And so no. So
I keep going through accounts. You gotta scrub your Reddit profile because you can't delete comments. You gotta have Reddit burners if you're chiming in the conversations.
That's my issue. Like I only have one, and it's Jack Pilgrim KSR. The one time I responded to somebody, for a Kentucky reason. So now, like, if I have something like controversial or wanting to get into like some hot tea on Reddit, I can't like quickly chime in. I'm like, I just gotta watch, just gotta lurk, just be just be watching. Don't put yourself in the conversation because unfortunately my name's attached to it. So
it's easy to get a Reddit burner. Highly recommend it. You can switch back and forth. Speaking of burner, Jack's probably burning up. Let's do one more question, then let him get inside.
I think Steven said there are no more questions.
Oh, no more. There was one about a quarterback situation. Y'all want to break down quarterback situations?
For the New England Patriots, Drake May is a great quarterback.
I know we have a quarterback.
I saw one about Kentucky rotating its quarterbacks. We'll save the football talk for another day. I'll leave one for Jack. What's next in Colorado, whether it be more of the basketball, or you got something on your to-do list, or have found anything fun behind the scenes?
I haven't gotten there yet. but I'm hoping that, like, tomorrow the first session is in the early morning, and then there's a late session, but my flight leaves before then. So I'm going to have a block like during the day where I'm going to be able to do something Colorado-y. So I haven't done it yet, but the mountains are cool and all that. But for basketball purposes, all the NBA teams and scouts are now here. The college coaches are gone, but the NBA scouts are there. So I'm interested to see, like, do we see the players more invested, that like the NBA guys that are watching, like, hey, I got to work up my draft stock? Like, how does that impact their play? So that starts in 35 minutes, the next session with scrimmages and all that stuff. So yeah, we got more content to come.
All right, Tyler's got more Country Boy to enjoy over there on her Monday happy hour. As always, check out Country Boy. We're big fans of Country Boy. The one near me is getting closer and closer out here on Winchester Road in Lexington. You can go to Chair Avenue or out in Georgetown, all kinds of Country Boy stops around the central Kentucky area, or find in your local stores in most places, certainly in Kentucky. But thanks to them. Thanks to everyone watching. Thanks to Tyler and Zach for joining us. And a big thank you to Jack for joining us during a busy day when he could be having Colorado fun. He is sitting outside in the heat, stalking Jasper Johnson, wearing headphones with a microphone. I'm sure no one has been looking at you like you're crazy out there.
It's all right. It's all right for the brand.
But for real, always keep up with KSR anyway. But right now, a lot of good content with Jack in Colorado. We had all the interviews today over on YouTube. There is lots of football news with football recruiting. We'll get to that coaching or the quarterback carousel question another time. But a lot happening in a normally slow time around BBN this summer. So stick with us on KSR, KentuckySportsRadio.com, and the YouTube channel. But for now, we'll shut down with the happy hour. We'll see you next Monday at 4 o'clock, presented by Country Boy.